In the year 2437, humanity stood on the brink of a new era. For centuries, Earth's people had dreamed of reaching beyond their small corner of the universe. Now, after decades of hard work and sacrifice, that dream was finally coming true. The United Earth Fleet, a massive collection of starships built with the combined efforts of every nation, prepared to leave the solar system for the first time. It was a moment filled with both hope and uncertainty. Admiral Daniel Harper stood on the bridge of the fleet's flagship, the New Horizon Asterisk. He was a tall man with sharp features and gray hair that spoke of years spent in service. His eyes scanned the vast expanse of space outside the large viewport. Behind him, officers moved quickly between stations, checking systems and relaying updates. Every member of the crew knew how important this mission was. They were not just explorers. They were ambassadors of an entire species stepping into the unknown. Captain Rachel Monroe joined Harper on the bridge. She was younger than him, but equally respected, known for her calm demeanor under pressure. "All ships report ready, Admiral," she said, her voice steady. "We're waiting for your command." Harper nodded. "Signal the fleet. We move forward." The engines roared to life, and the fleet began its journey. Dozens of ships, each carrying thousands of crew members, drifted away from Earth's orbit. Their destination was a distant star system identified by long-range probes. Scientists believed it held resources vital to humanity's survival. But as they approached the edge of explored space, something unexpected happened. The sensors lit up with activity. Something big was out there. "What is that?" Monroe asked, leaning over a console as data streamed in. Lieutenant Jason Cole, a young engineer stationed at one of the science terminals, frowned at his screen. "It's huge. There are structures everywhere. Ships too. Thousands of them." Harper felt a chill run down his spine. Humanity wasn't alone. Not only that, but whatever civilization existed here was far more advanced than anyone had imagined. On the main display, images appeared showing sprawling cities floating in space, connected by glowing pathways. Massive vessels patrolled the area, their designs sleek and alien. It was clear this wasn't some primitive society. They were organized, powerful, and expansive. "This changes everything," Harper muttered. He turned to Monroe. "Get Ambassador Laura Bennett up here. If we're going to meet these people, we need diplomacy as much as firepower." As the fleet slowed to avoid alarming the unknown civilization, tension filled the air. Some crew members whispered excitedly about making contact with aliens, while others worried about what might happen if things went wrong. Harper understood both sides. This could be the greatest moment in human history, or the beginning of a disaster. Ambassador Bennett arrived soon after, her expression serious but determined. She was a middle-aged woman with warm brown eyes and a quiet confidence that put others at ease. "I assume you called me here because we found someone," she asked. "We found an empire," Harper replied. "And I think they already know we're here." Bennett nodded. "Then let's introduce ourselves properly. Let's show them we come in peace, but also that we won't back down." With careful precision, the fleet sent out a signal using universal mathematical patterns designed to communicate peaceful intentions. Hours passed before a response came. When it did, it was overwhelming. A message played across the fleet's screens, showing humanoid figures speaking in a strange language accompanied by symbols meant to translate. Their voices were deep and resonant, almost musical. "They're calling themselves the Tyran Dominion," Cole reported, typing furiously to decode the transmission. "They're asking why we're here and warning us not to trespass." Harper took a deep breath. Humanity had always wondered what lay beyond the stars. Now they had their answer, and it was staring right back at them. The United Earth Fleet hovered at the edge of the Tyran Dominion's territory, its ships bathed in the faint glow of a distant star. Admiral Daniel Harper stood on the bridge of the New Horizon Asterisk, his mind racing with possibilities. The message from the Xyrans had been clear. They were not welcoming visitors, but humanity had come too far to turn back now. Every decision made in the next few hours could shape the future of their species. Ambassador Laura Bennett stepped forward, her calm presence steadying the nervous crew. "We need to establish communication," she said firmly. "If we can show them we're peaceful, maybe they'll listen." Harper nodded. "Prepare a response. Use simple visuals, diagrams of our ships, symbols of peace, anything that doesn't rely on language." He glanced at Lieutenant Jason Cole, who was already working on crafting the reply. "Make it quick. We don't know how patient they are." Minutes later, the fleet broadcasted its message. It showed images of Earth, the stars, and hands reaching out in friendship. The crew waited anxiously for a response. When it came, it wasn't what they expected. A massive Axiron vessel emerged from the darkness of space, dwarfing even the largest human ship. Its surface shimmered like polished metal, reflecting the light of nearby stars. A holographic figure appeared on the main screen, a tall, metallic-skinned being with sharp features and glowing eyes. Though its voice was translated into basic tones through advanced software, the message carried an unmistakable tone of authority. "You are trespassing," the Axiron leader declared. "Leave this region or face consequences." Captain Rachel Monroe clenched her fists but kept her voice steady. "We mean no harm. We've traveled far seeking knowledge and cooperation. Can we speak further?" The Axiron tilted its head slightly, as if considering the request. "You are primitive. Your kind is unworthy of our time." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the humans in stunned silence. "Well, that went well," muttered Lieutenant Cole, earning a sharp look from Monroe. Bennett sighed. "They see us as inferior. That's going to make negotiations difficult." Harper crossed his arms. "We can't let them dismiss us so easily. If we retreat now, we'll lose any chance of proving ourselves. Prepare another message. Show them our technology, our advancements. Maybe then, they'll take us seriously." As the crew worked on the new transmission, Intelligence Officer Samantha Drake noticed something unusual. "Admiral," she called out, pointing to her console. "I've detected encrypted signals coming from their ship. I think they're scanning us." "What kind of scans?" Harper asked, stepping closer. "They're analyzing our weapons systems, shield strength, everything," Drake replied. "It's like they're trying to figure out how much of a threat we are." Monroe frowned. "That doesn't sound like a peaceful gesture." "No, it doesn't," Harper agreed. "But we can't jump to conclusions yet. Keep monitoring them. And let me know if anything changes." Hours passed as the fleet waited for a response. Finally, the Axirons re-established contact. This time, their tone was less hostile but still firm. "We will allow one envoy to board our vessel. No more than 5 representatives. Any attempt at deception will result in destruction." Harper turned to Bennett. "This is your moment. Pick your team carefully." Bennett nodded and selected 4 others to accompany her. Captain Monroe, Lieutenant Cole, Dr. Emily Dawson, a linguist skilled in deciphering alien languages, and Sergeant Nathan Blake, a soldier trained for close combat. As they prepared to leave, Harper gave them a final warning. "Remember, we're walking into the unknown. Stay sharp, and don't trust them completely. They may seem powerful, but we have something they don't expect: human ingenuity." The small shuttle detached from the New Horizon Asterisk and approached the Tyran ship. As it docked, the human delegates felt a mix of fear and determination. They were about to meet an alien empire face to face, and the outcome would determine whether humanity could survive among the stars. When the airlock opened, the team stepped into a vast chamber filled with towering Tyrans. Their metallic skin gleamed under bright lights, and their eyes glowed with an intensity that made it hard to look directly at them. One of the Axirons stepped forward, its voice echoing through the room. "You are brave to come here," it said, "but bravery alone will not save you." Bennett took a deep breath and met its gaze. "We didn't come to fight. We came to learn, and perhaps to teach. Let's start by understanding each other." For the first time, the Axiron hesitated. Inside the Tyran chamber, The air felt heavy, as if the very walls were watching. Ambassador Laura Bennett stood tall, her heart pounding but her expression calm. She knew this moment could either open doors or seal humanity's fate. The Siren leader, taller than the others and adorned with intricate markings on its metallic skin, studied her with glowing eyes. "We have no need for your teachings," the Xiren said, its voice deep and resonant. "Your kind is weak. You waste resources, fight among yourselves, and cling to fragile lives." Bennett didn't flinch. "You're right about one thing. We've made mistakes, but we've also learned from them. Humanity has survived wars, plagues, and disasters. We adapt. That's why we're here today." The Xiren tilted its head slightly, a gesture that might have been curiosity or disdain. "Adaptation does not equal strength. Your ships are inferior, your weapons primitive. Why should we bother with you?" Captain Rachel Monroe stepped forward, her tone firm but respectful. "Our technology may not match yours, but we've traveled farther than any species in our history to get here. That shows determination, and determination can overcome even the greatest odds." The Siren leader stared at her for a long moment before signaling to another of its kind. A smaller screen appeared, displaying images of Earth, cities, oceans, forests. "This is your home," it said. "Fragile, unprotected. Leave now, or we will take it from you." Lieutenant Jason Cole clenched his fists but kept silent. Dr. Emily Dawson leaned closer to Bennett and whispered, "They're testing us, trying to provoke a reaction." Bennett nodded almost imperceptibly. "Earth isn't up for negotiation," she replied steadily. "But we're not here to argue over planets. We want to coexist, share knowledge, trade resources. Isn't that how empires grow stronger?" The Axirans exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. After a pause, their leader spoke again. "You speak boldly for such insignificant beings. Prove your worth. Show us something valuable." Sergeant Nathan Blake shifted uncomfortably, his hand resting near his sidearm. He scanned the room, noting the positions of the Axirans and the exits. Something about their demeanor made him uneasy. They were too confident, too sure of their dominance. Back aboard the New Horizon Asterisk, Admiral Daniel Harper watched the tense exchange through a live feed. Intelligence officer Samantha Drake approached him, her face pale. "Sir, I've analyzed their signals further. They're not just scanning us. They're mapping our fleet's weaknesses. If they decide to attack, they'll know exactly where to strike." Harper frowned. "Do they think we're blind to their tactics?" "No, sir. I think they're counting on us being too naive to notice." Harper's jaw tightened. "Then let's make sure they underestimate us no longer. Prepare defensive measures and alert all captains. We need to be ready for anything." Meanwhile, inside the Siren ship, Bennett decided to take a risk. She activated a holographic display showing humanity's achievements: starships, medical breakthroughs, art, and culture. "These are what define us," she said. "Not just tools and weapons, but ideas, creativity, hope. Those things can't be conquered." The Axirans seemed unmoved, but Lieutenant Cole noticed something subtle, a flicker of interest in their leader's glowing eyes. Before anyone could say more, alarms blared throughout the chamber. The Axirans turned abruptly, their attention shifting elsewhere. "What's happening?" Bennett asked sharply. One of the Axirans glanced back. "An intrusion in our territory. This meeting is over." The human team exchanged worried looks as they were escorted back to their shuttle. Once aboard, Cole checked the sensors. "There's activity near one of their outposts. Looks like sabotage." Monroe's eyes narrowed. Could someone else be targeting the Axirans? "Or it could be a trap," Blake muttered. As the shuttle returned to the fleet, Harper listened intently to their report. His mind raced with possibilities. The Axirans were powerful, yes, but they weren't invincible. If humanity played its cards right, They might just find a way to turn this tense standoff into an opportunity. We need to act fast, Harper said finally. Before they do. The human fleet was alive with tension as Admiral Daniel Harper paced the bridge of the New Horizon *. Reports from intelligence officer Samantha Drake painted a troubling picture. The Xerans were mobilizing their forces, moving ships and troops toward the edge of their territory. It wasn't just a show of strength, it was preparation for war. "We've pushed them too far," Captain Rachel Monroe said, her voice tight with concern. "They don't negotiate. They conquer." Harper nodded grimly. "Then we'll have to outthink them." "Lieutenant Cole, what did you find during that meeting? Anything useful?" Cole leaned over a console, pulling up schematics he'd secretly recorded while aboard the Xiran ship. Their infrastructure is massive but centralized. Key facilities, shipyards, supply depots, communication hubs are all heavily guarded but vulnerable if you hit them hard enough. Harper's eyes narrowed. Vulnerable how? They rely on automated systems, Cole explained. If we can disable those, even temporarily, it could cripple their operations. Sergeant Nathan Blake stepped forward, his arms crossed. "You're talking about sabotage. That's risky business, especially this deep in enemy space." "It's our best shot," Harper replied firmly. "We can't match their numbers, so we'll strike where it hurts most." "Cole, Blake, you're leading the mission. Pick your team carefully." Cole glanced at Blake, who gave a curt nod. "Understood, sir." Hours later, a small group of humans prepared to infiltrate a Xiran shipyard. Disguised as traders carrying rare minerals, they boarded a stolen transport vessel loaded with fake cargo. Cole piloted the craft, his hand steady despite the weight of the mission. Beside him sat Blake, checking weapons and equipment one last time. "Remember," Cole said quietly, "we get in, plant the charges, and get out. No heroics." Blake smirked. "Heroics are overrated anyway." As they approached the shipyard, Xiran guards scanned their vessel. A holographic figure appeared on the screen, its metallic face unreadable. "State your purpose," it demanded. Cole activated a pre-recorded message mimicking the guttural tones of a known trading species. "Delivering materials for construction." He held his breath as the guard studied their ship. After a long pause, the Xeran nodded. "Proceed to docking Bay 7. Inside the shipyard, the scale of the operation was staggering. Massive warships loomed overhead, nearly complete, while robotic drones buzzed around like insects. Cole and Blake moved cautiously through the bustling facility, blending in with other workers thanks to their disguises. "This way," Cole whispered, guiding the team toward the central control hub. Inside, rows of glowing panels managed the entire operation. Cole knelt beside one, attaching a small device designed to overload the system. 30 seconds, he muttered. Suddenly, an alarm blared. A suspicious overseer had noticed inconsistencies in their forged credentials. Guards swarmed the area, shouting orders. "Plans ruined," Blake growled, raising his weapon. "Time to improvise." "No," Cole snapped. "Stick to the plan. Finish the job." With seconds to spare, Cole activated the device. Sparks flew as the control hub shorted out, plunging the shipyard into chaos. Lights flickered, machinery ground to a halt, and drones crashed to the floor. "Move," Blake shouted, leading the team back toward their transport. Guards fired energy blasts that cis_primary_ schoolinged past them as they ran. Cole ducked behind cover, returning fire with precision. Blake covered the rear, his weapon roaring as he held off pursuers. Reaching the transport, Cole jumped into the pilot's seat and slammed the throttle forward. The ship lurched away from the dock, narrowly avoiding a blast from a Xiran turret. Behind them, explosions erupted as secondary systems overloaded, causing further damage. "We did it," Cole panted, glancing back at the fiery wreckage. "But they'll know it was us now." Blake grinned despite the danger. "Let them come. We just showed them humanity doesn't go down easy. Back aboard the New Horizon Harper watched the aftermath through long-range sensors. The sabotage had worked, but the cost was clear. The Xyrans would retaliate, and soon. They'll see us as a real threat now, Monroe said, standing beside him. Harper nodded. Good. Let them tremble, because humanity isn't backing down. The clash between humanity and the Xyran Dominion began near the edge of contested space, where the stars burned cold and distant. Admiral Daniel Harper stood on the bridge of the New Horizon watching as the human fleet formed a tight defensive line. The ships were outnumbered, but their crews were ready. Every officer, pilot, and engineer knew what was at stake. This wasn't just a battle, it was a fight for survival. Captain Rachel Monroe's voice broke the tense silence. All squadrons report in position, Admiral. Waiting for your command. Harper nodded, his face grim. Signal the fleet. Engage. The first wave of Tyran ships surged forward, their massive hulls glinting like blades under the light of a nearby star. They moved with precision, their formations tight and disciplined. Humanity's ships, smaller and more agile, darted through the void, weaving between the larger vessels to avoid devastating energy blasts. Commander Alex Rivera, a skilled pilot with nerves of steel, led a squadron of fighters into the fray. His ship twisted and turned, narrowly avoiding enemy fire as he lined up his own shots. With a press of a button, he unleashed a barrage of missiles that tore through the shields of a Xyran cruiser. Cheers erupted over the comms as the ship listed, its engines sparking. Nice shot, Commander, one of his pilots called out. Rivera didn't have time to celebrate. Stay sharp. More are coming. Meanwhile, aboard the flagship New Horizon Lieutenant Jason Cole monitored the battlefield from engineering. The ship shuddered as an enemy blast struck its shields. Shields at 60%, he reported. We can't take many more hits like that. Captain Monroe gripped the railing beside him. Keep the pressure on them. We need to break their lines. As the battle raged, Samantha Drake, the intelligence officer, noticed something unusual. Admiral, I'm picking up increased activity around the Xyran flagship. It looks like they're preparing for a counterattack. Harper frowned. They're trying to turn the tide. We need to hit them before they regroup. He turned to Monroe. Take a strike team and board their flagship. If we can capture it or disable it, we might be able to end this quickly. Monroe nodded. Understood. Preparing boarding parties now. The assault on the Xyran flagship was chaotic and dangerous. Monroe led a team of heavily armed Marines through the airlock, their weapons raised as they entered the alien vessel. Inside, the corridors were dimly lit, the walls pulsing faintly with an eerie glow. Terran soldiers, taller and stronger than humans, moved swiftly to defend their ship. Sergeant Nathan Blake fired his weapon, taking down 2 enemies with precise shots. Clear the hallway, he shouted. Monroe gestured for her team to move forward. We need to reach the control room. That's our objective. The team fought their way deeper into the ship, dodging energy blasts and returning fire. At one point, a Xyran warrior lunged at Blake, knocking him to the ground. Before the alien could strike, Monroe stepped in, firing her weapon point blank. The Xyran fell, and Blake scrambled to his feet. Thanks, he muttered, catching his breath. Finally, they reached the control room. Inside, glowing panels displayed tactical maps and system statuses. Monroe quickly connected a data spike to download critical information. We've got what we came for, she said. Let's get out of here. But as they turned to leave, the lights flickered and alarms blared. Reinforcements had arrived, hundreds of Tyran ships emerging from warp points across the battlefield. Humanity's fleet was suddenly surrounded. Back on the New Horizon Harper watched as the new arrivals overwhelmed his forces. This isn't over, he said through gritted teeth. Not while we still have fight left in us. The battle wasn't won, But humanity had proven one thing: they wouldn't go down without a fight. And in the vastness of space, even the smallest spark of resistance could ignite hope. The human fleet was in trouble. Outnumbered and outgunned, the ships of Admiral Daniel Harper's command fought desperately to hold their ground against the overwhelming force of the Tyrant Dominion. The arrival of fresh enemy reinforcements had turned the tide of the battle, and hope seemed to slip further away with every passing second. On the bridge of the New Horizon asterisk, Harper stood firm, his jaw clenched as he studied the tactical display. Enemy ships swarmed like insects, cutting off escape routes and pinning humanity's forces into a shrinking pocket of space. "We can't keep this up," Captain Rachel Monroe said, her voice strained. "Our shields are failing, and we're running low on munitions." Harper didn't respond immediately. His mind raced, searching for any way to turn the situation around. Then an idea struck him, one risky enough to either save them or doom them completely. "Lieutenant Cole," he barked, turning to the young engineer. "You said those old freighters were retrofitted with cloaking devices, right?" Cole nodded quickly. "Yes, sir. Experimental tech, but it works. For a while, at least." "Good. Here's what we'll do." Harper leaned over the map, pointing to several key locations. "We'll strip down some of those freighters, load them with decoy signals, and send them into enemy formations. They'll look like our main ships under cloak. It'll buy us time to regroup and hit them where they least expect it." Monroe raised an eyebrow. "It's risky. If they catch on." "They won't," Harper interrupted. "Not if we make it convincing. Get the crews working on it now." Meanwhile, Ambassador Laura Bennett worked tirelessly to exploit divisions within the Tyrant Dominion itself. Intelligence reports had revealed that not all factions within the Empire supported Emperor Calvorn's aggressive stance. Some saw humanity as potential allies rather than enemies. Bennett reached out to these dissidents through encrypted channels, offering promises of trade and cooperation if they helped undermine the war effort. "We're not asking you to betray your people," she told one hesitant contact during a covert transmission. "We're asking you to protect them from a pointless conflict. Help us, and we'll ensure peace benefits everyone." Slowly, cracks began to form in the Xiran ranks. Supply lines faltered as rebel groups sabotaged shipments meant for the front lines. False reports of mechanical failures spread confusion among the enemy fleet. Though subtle, these actions created openings that humanity desperately needed. Back in the heat of battle, the decoy plan went into effect. Dozens of cloaked freighters drifted toward the heart of the Tyrant Armada, broadcasting fake signatures designed to mimic human warships. At first, the ruse held. Enemy vessels broke formation, chasing shadows while the real human fleet slipped away to safer positions. But the deception couldn't last forever. One by one, the decoys were discovered and destroyed, their explosions lighting up the void like fireworks. Yet by then, the damage had been done. The distraction gave Harper's forces precious minutes to reorganize and launch a surprise counterattack. Commander Alex Rivera led the charge, guiding his squadron of fighters straight into the weakened flank of the Tyrant fleet. Their smaller, faster ships darted between the lumbering behemoths, targeting weak points with surgical precision. Explosions rippled across the battlefield as human missiles found their marks. At the same time, Captain Monroe coordinated a renewed assault on the Tyrant flagship. Her boarding party, still trapped aboard the enemy vessel, managed to disable critical systems before retreating back to their own ship. Without central command, the Tyrant forces grew disorganized, their once imposing formations crumbling into chaos. As the tide began to shift, Harper allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction. Humanity wasn't winning yet, but they had proven something vital, that even the mightiest empire could falter when faced with ingenuity and determination. And in the vastness of space, sometimes resilience was the most powerful weapon of all. The battle raged on, but the momentum had shifted. Humanity's fleet, once on the brink of defeat, now fought with renewed purpose. Admiral Daniel Harper watched from the bridge of the New Horizon as his plan unfolded. The decoy freighters had done their job, luring much of the Hyran fleet away and creating gaps in their defenses. Now, it was time to strike. "Signal all squadrons," Harper ordered. "Focus fire on the exposed flanks. We need to keep them off balance." Captain Rachel Monroe relayed the command, her voice steady despite the chaos around her. Fighter pilots like Commander Alex Rivera dove into the fray, targeting vulnerable points on the massive Xiren warships. Smaller human vessels darted through the battlefield, avoiding enemy fire while delivering precise strikes. Every hit weakened the Empire's grip on the fight. Meanwhile, Ambassador Laura Bennett continued her efforts to destabilize the Xirens from within. Her appeals to dissident factions were gaining traction. One group, calling themselves the Free Stars Coalition, agreed to openly defy Emperor Cal Vorn by halting reinforcements headed for the front lines. Their actions caused confusion among the Xiren ranks, forcing commanders to divert resources to quell internal unrest. "They're starting to crack," Bennett reported to Harper over a secure channel. "But we need to push harder. If we can break their morale, this war could end sooner than expected." Harper nodded. "We'll do everything we can." Back aboard the flagship, Lieutenant Jason Cole worked tirelessly to keep the human ships operational. Damage reports flooded in constantly, shields failing, engines sputtering, weapons overheating, but Cole and his team patched up each problem as fast as they came. "Keep those reactors stable," he shouted to his crew. "If we lose power now, we're done for." Sergeant Nathan Blake led boarding parties onto crippled Xiren ships, securing critical areas and gathering intelligence. His teams moved quickly, disabling weapon systems and sabotaging engines. Though outnumbered in close quarters, their training and determination gave them an edge. "Stay sharp," Blake barked to his Marines. "One wrong move, and we're dead." As the hours dragged on, the combined efforts of humanity began to take their toll. The Hyran fleet, once a unified force, now struggled to maintain cohesion. Internal divisions widened, supplies dwindled, and morale plummeted. Even Emperor Vorn's iron grip couldn't hold back the tide of rebellion spreading through his empire. Finally, a breakthrough came. Monroe's forces succeeded in disabling the primary communication hub aboard the Hyran flagship. Without centralized control, the remaining ships faltered, unable to coordinate their attacks effectively. Harper seized the opportunity. "All units, advance," he commanded. "Push them back." The human fleet surged forward, driving deeper into enemy territory. Explosions lit up the void as Hyran ships fell one by one. For the first time since the conflict began, victory seemed possible. But Harper knew better than to celebrate too soon. The Xirens were still powerful, and their pride would make surrender difficult. He turned to Bennett. "It's time to offer them peace. Let's show them that cooperation is better than destruction." Bennett nodded. She drafted a message, emphasizing mutual benefits and shared prosperity. When it was broadcast to the surviving Xiren forces, the response was hesitant, but not hostile. After days of relentless fighting, even the most stubborn commanders began to see the futility of continuing the war. By the time the dust settled, both sides had suffered heavy losses, but humanity had proven itself resilient, resourceful, and determined. As the last shots faded into silence, Admiral Harper addressed his crew. "This isn't just a victory for us," he said. "It's a chance for both our peoples to build something greater, together." And in the vastness of space, hope flickered anew. The war was over, but the scars of battle lingered in the cold silence of space. Admiral Daniel Harper stood on the bridge of the New Horizon watching as the remnants of the Hyran fleet retreated into the depths of their empire. The human ships, battered and bruised, floated quietly among the wreckage of destroyed vessels. It wasn't a perfect victory, but it was enough to ensure humanity's survival, and perhaps something more. Ambassador Laura Bennett stepped onto the bridge, her face showing signs of exhaustion, but also relief. "They've agreed to talks," she said softly. "Emperor Calvorn has authorized a delegation to meet with us." Harper nodded. "Good. Let's make sure this ends the right way." The meeting took place aboard a neutral station orbiting a distant star. Both sides arrived cautiously, their ships maintaining a respectful distance. The Xaren sent representatives led by a high-ranking official named Zinra, whose metallic skin bore faint scratches from the recent battles. Humanity's team included Harper, Monroe, Bennett, and a few trusted advisors. Zinra spoke first, his voice steady but lacking its previous arrogance. "Your kind is persistent," he admitted. "We underestimated you, and it cost us dearly." Bennett leaned forward, her tone calm but firm. "We didn't come here to conquer or destroy. We came seeking understanding. If we work together, there's no limit to what we can achieve." For a moment, the chamber fell silent. Then Zinra tilted his head slightly, a gesture that might have been curiosity or acceptance. "What do you propose?" Harper took the lead, outlining terms for peace. Humanity would gain autonomy over certain nearby systems rich in resources needed for Earth's survival. In exchange, they would share advanced medical and agricultural technologies with the Xarens, helping them address shortages plaguing parts of their empire. Trade routes would open, fostering mutual prosperity. Most importantly, both sides agreed to establish a council to mediate future disputes and prevent another war. As the negotiations concluded, Zinra extended a hand, a rare gesture of trust among his kind. "May this mark the beginning of a new era," he said. Monroe shook his hand firmly. "For all our sakes, let's hope so." Back aboard the New Horizon Asterisk, the crew gathered in the mess hall to celebrate. Lieutenant Jason Cole raised a glass of synthetic wine, grinning at Sergeant Nathan Blake. "Not bad for a bunch of primitives, huh?" Blake chuckled. "Don't get too cocky. We're still outnumbered out here." Captain Rachel Monroe joined them, her expression thoughtful. "This isn't the end. It's just the start. There's still so much we don't know about the galaxy or ourselves." Admiral Harper stood apart, looking out at the stars through a viewport. He thought about the sacrifices made during the conflict, the lives lost, the ships destroyed. But he also thought about the resilience of his people, their determination to carve out a place among the stars. It hadn't been easy, but humanity had proven itself capable of standing toe-to-toe with even the mightiest empires. "We did it," he murmured to himself. "Against all odds, we survived." As the fleet prepared to return home, Harper knew challenges lay ahead. The Xarens were not friends yet, only uneasy allies. Other civilizations likely existed beyond the horizon, some friendly, others hostile. But for now, humanity had earned its place in the cosmos. They had faced fear, doubt, and overwhelming odds, and emerged stronger because of it. In the quiet moments before sleep, Harper allowed himself a small smile. The road ahead would be long and uncertain, but one truth was clear. Humanity's journey among the stars had only just begun, and whatever came next, they would face it together.